We're very fortunate today to have Marcel Zielinski with us, who will be telling us his story of survival during the Holocaust. So tell me, you were born in 1934
Yes,
in Krakow.
Krakow in September 1934. Well, I remember I was just had my fifth birthday coming up, and the war was declared, and the Jewish population in Krakow was in a state of panic. At one point in 1941, I think it was, the ghetto was formed, and all the Jews were supposed to move into that area of suburb of Krakow, which was relatively small, to house over 70,000 Jews that were living in Krakow at that time. People were everywhere. They would sleep on the floor, in the bathroom, in the kitchen. There was no room. Even before the ghetto was formed, there was a Jewish committee that was receiving orders from the Germans. And part of the Judenrat was a Jewish police. And my father joined the Ordnungsdienst. He was a Jewish policeman.
And what did you and your mom do during that period?
My mother was working outside. She was working for industrialists, like outside the camp. Like Schindler was one of the industrialists, and there were some other industrialists. My mother worked for a name called the Madrich.
So your mom worked, and what did they have you do? You were young.
But my father decided that I should learn something to do with my hands, so I would somehow belong to the labor force and survive that way. So he put me in a place where they were manufacturing brushes. And I learned how to manufacture different brushes.
And you did that for how long?
I did it for like 2 years, 3 years. Plaszow is located about 5 kilometers from the ghetto. It was built a brand new camp on the grounds of a Jewish cemetery in Plaszow. The graves were uprooted and the camp was built. The labor camp it was really the toughest period of my incarceration was in that camp in Plaszow. So this camp was very realistically portrayed in the movie Schindler's List. September or maybe August, there was a big deportation. It was a selection. People were stripped naked and had to go in front of the doctors and the other Germans to determine if they're good to continue working or not. I was in a group of 400 children. And we were standing, waiting to be loaded on trucks and to be carried away. And there was loud music playing, and people around were crying, especially women. And there was the commandant was like, I remember, standing on a little mound surrounded by his entourage. All of a sudden I see my father rushing into the commandant, and he grabbed him by the boots. This was, to me, it was like a very dramatic scene, and I knew that my father was in grave danger of being shot right there by the commandant. He was obviously begging him to let him take me away from the group of children. And after a while he relented, he let him take me away. And he took me away. And this is how I survived. All the children from that group, except for maybe 20 who managed to escape or were rescued the same way as I was. Everybody went to Birkenau to be gassed and burned. At that point, we were separated from my mother. My mother went to Auschwitz on that day in the transport.
You were in Birkenau from October 1944 until the liberation.
Till 27th of January 1945. I talked to my father. I wanted to go with him, but they wouldn't let me go. I was too young, and there were the children and the sick people and invalids were left behind. And so this is the last time I saw my father. When I was liberated in January by the Russian army, a few days later, I joined a group of children, youngsters, and we walked to Krakow. And they sent me to the Jewish community center. Yeah, they took care of me, you know, they admitted me to orphanage.
And when did you reunite with your mother?
Yeah, my mother, you know, showed up about August 1945. I was in a room in the orphanage and she walked in. Yeah. It was a happy reunion. But, you know, she tried to stay in Krakow. There was no Jewish community, you know, there was everybody was gone. And she desperately tried to find out about my father, what happened to him. And she wrote to Red Cross, to other places, you know, to never found out anything.
My name is Marcel Zielinski. I'm 81 years old. I'm a Holocaust survivor. It's my first March of the Living. I'm here with my wife, Marilla, who's also a survivor.
I started cycling. I like the idea of being in motion and speed as a youngster. So I fell in love with a bicycle. And this stayed with me for all my life. I was a heavy smoker. And one of the biggest achievements of my life was quitting smoking. 45, I quit smoking and I started on a fitness program. I got a message from my relative in Toronto. He told me that there is a bicycle ride from Birkenau to Krakow. It's a fundraising ride, and I just couldn't believe when I read it. I got very excited about it. So they were very excited and they invited me.
So tell me, if there's a message that you would want to tell people, what would it be?
I don't know, very often I am asked if I hate Germans. Of course I hate the Germans that did it to me and to my family, but I could never hate Germans as such. That had nothing to do with it. Hating is a very energy-consuming emotion. That once you hate somebody or something, it makes you incapable of doing good things because you don't have the energy to do it anymore. So I'm saying not to hate. That's my message. But I will never forgive the Nazis, what they did to me and to my family. That's another story.